treat here with both very high quality players playing it out for this spot, sorry, into the top 8.
Yep, 32 points for both of these players, so everything's on the line. 35 is going to be your way into the top 8 here, and anything else is not going to do it. So expect to see high-level play. Both players not going to be looking for a tie at any time, so very excited to see how these players work under this pressure.
Now we do have another Lugia mirror match in our hands, and we once again have a lot of unique traits from both lists. Corey is only playing 2 Lugia V-Star in his list, so as long as he doesn't prize both of them, he'll be fine, but that's definitely a corner that I'm not very comfortable cutting myself. And on the other hand, we have Yerco with quite a few interesting techs. He does have the 4-3 Lugia, he does have the 4 Arceus, but he is playing a copy of Regigigas.
Wow, yeah, this is a card that I have been messing around with a lot in my testing. It can be very fun in a lot of matchups. Maybe not this one.
Yeah, so Yerko choosing to go with a slightly bulkier version of the Lugia deck. He is only playing 3 Aurora energies. He is playing Path to the Peak as well to try and build on that advantage that he can potentially get in the mirror match. And we are going to see 2 Marnie's prize for Corey.
Yeah, that can definitely be awkward. Just really depends on who's going first, I suppose. If you can get the disruption down, that can be one way to buy that turn back and get into the action. And I think we see the die on the side of Yerko, so interested to see how this starts.
We actually see, I believe, Corey get us started right
Faked
here.
me out.
Yeah, faked out with the die. He will be starting with that Seishen Amazing Rare, which is a very good answer with its amazing sword attack for Pogon VMAX. Neither player is playing one though, so it will probably only be used as either an attacker early on to take down that Manaphy if he's able to set up the Arceus, or quite simply as Death Fodder.
Yeah, this is definitely not the card that you want to see in this spot. I guess it's as bad as the Regigigas on the other side, potentially. So both players with the 59 cards, but one in the active spot is a little more awkward. We do see that quick ball to start things off there, and a lot of rarity on this side. We're going to see the Lugia V coming down, and that's exactly what you need on the first turn.
Yeah, the Lugia, the Arceus in the discard pile, and I will say we do have to give a little merit to both the Regigigas and the Seishen. They do deal 150 base damage, which is enough to deal with an Arceus, and that could actually be relevant in a mirror match, right? We've seen Arceus attack quite a bit, so oh wow, that's a lot of playing in that hand.
Yeah, this is hard for my old eyes. I'm gonna try my best, but I think there's some ball search going on here.
Yeah, there's quick balls, there's ultra balls, and I do believe someone predicted that a full rarity deck would be making top 8. So
I was thinking the same thing.
We generally might see that happening over here from Corey. He will be able to get that second Arceus in the discard pile, so a stellar setup for him, really taking advantage of the draw from Crobat. And he does not have access to Luminion anymore, though we did see that hit the discard pile, but very confidently passes the turn to Yerko.
Yep, and the bench is essentially full at this point. Corey looking to get those last 2 spots dedicated to the Archeops. Speaking of Archeops, it looks like we see one of those into the discard pile now by way of this quick ball. So pretty solid start here for Yerko.
Now Yerko will be in this conundrum where he is holding a Path to a Peak in his hand. So he must not know exactly how many answers to Path to a Peak Corey has, and if he does choose to play that Path to a Peak down and delays Corey's Summoning Star, that will also mean that he needs to find an answer to the Path to a Peak himself the next turn to be able to take advantage of the slow start for Corey. So that's always an interesting decision, and it's a card that could potentially cause problems for your opponent, but it could also be causing problems for yourself.
Looks like the answer to that question is going to be Pumpkaboo. That's the only solution that I currently see. No other way to bump the path. Plays 2 paths of his own, so a little awkward for Corey if that card were to stick around.
Can you imagine if we see a path to a peak come into play and then we never see Arceus come into play? That would be a first for a mirror match.
Yeah, that would be something else. And sure enough, going to give us quite the show here in round 15. The path to the peak is down, and even if Corey were to find a solution, it only means one Archeops, as the bench would take an additional slot because of that Pumpkaboo.
Yeah, now with Yerco going second, he does need to bench another Lugia to be more comfortable in this spot. I think I see an Ultra Ball in his hand, so he will be able... Oh, just the Lugia, that works too. To further his setup and make sure that whatever Corey does next turn to disrupt him, if it's not KOing the Manaphy, then he'll be safe to power up. But yeah, now we do know Corey is holding a bunch of ways to find that Pumpkaboo, but if he does, then he will only have space for one Arceus now.
Yeah, and that could lead to that situation where you wait for your opponent to take a knockout, and they never do this because they're stuck under a path as well. And we've seen some very interesting situations where Lugia gets to turn 8 and 9, and we're not comfortable there.
Yeah, I mean, with that, the fact that Corey went first, there wasn't really a need for that second Lugia, right? He was not the one under that pressure. Therefore, that might end up costing him a little bit here. That delay, he could either choose to delay the Summoning Star, it could be delayed for him because of the path to a peak, but if he does go for the Pumpkaboo, and if he does go for the Summoning Star, we are only going to see him play with a single Arceus, which will really pressure his resources.
Yeah, we see the Crobat over the Luminion, the additional Lugia instead of leaving the bench space available, and these kind of things maybe start to add up later on. This could lead to a situation where there's a lot of cards that could be Serena'd in the end game, and the prize exchange could just go 2-2-2. I win for Yerco. So very curious to see how the rest of this is piloted, because we're in a really interesting situation with this path and the bench spaces.
Yeah, there's a lot that goes on in the mirror match, as we've heard from the players playing it. They say that the flip, of course, factors in quite a bit into the result, but there's also a lot of little things that you can use to build advantages for yourself. Things that Yerko is currently doing, taking advantage of the slight mismanagement of Corey's bench at the moment, where he has no space for the Pumpkaboo and two Arceuses. So very, very good play from Yerko, and I guess at some point he will find out that Corey is also playing Path to a Peak, meaning he will be able to get ready for that in the following game, and also knowing how delayed this this Summoning Star will be now for Corey if he wants the double Arceus.
Well, if we don't see the Summoning Star in the next few turns, it's going to be a really cool battle between theme decks, I suppose. They're very blinged out, and it's going to be exciting to see which of them can make it into the top 8 here. But yeah, this can be such a difficult situation, because you're trying to find a way to stay in the matchup. You want to be taking prize cards, you want to be getting energies down, but you don't want to open up that avenue for your opponent to take advantage of this. Just counter the path, and all your energies are on one Pokemon.
I mean, if those Lugia Vs were the alternate art ones, it would be a $2,000 theme deck or so. So that would be quite the impressive theme deck. Now, we did see the delay of the Summoning Star. Corey can search for that Pumpkaboo, but he chose not to. He's playing it safe, playing it slow, letting Yerko once again take this initiative and potentially take the first prize card, which, as we saw from John's game earlier on, that doesn't always mean you're going to end up winning the game.
Yeah, this is going to be very interesting to see how this is piloted from Yerko now. The opportunity to counter the path only is with the Pumpkaboo or the Collapsed on his side. So if he chooses to open up the avenue, surely that would be in a situation where you could also knock out the Lugia V-Star, and you're asking a lot of your hand during a path lock. So we'll see if any of those cards start to get into the hand here.
Indeed, it is a very big ask, but he very confidently got rid of that Quick Ball and going for that Pumpkaboo, so he knows he will be able to take this initiative at this point. Now, that will open up Corey to respond with his own Summoning Star into the double Arceus, unless Yerko was able to find that Collapsed Stadium as well after he used Summoning Star. That would be like a dream setup for Yerko.
Yeah, even the other path to the peak, I suppose, that would be incredible to be able to play that back down, use the summoning star for yourself, and then make sure that is unavailable for your opponent.
Yeah, that would also be quite impactful because he also doesn't know which outs Corey plays to a path to a peak yet, and he knows he's already been delayed at least one turn. So this could be very good if he's able to find that. Yerko does play both Stadiums Collapsed and Path to a Peak, so he can potentially use those.
You see the ability markers being played for Yerko on the Archeops there, so going to go ahead and start looking through the deck to find some of those special energy cards. So often we do see that double turbo grabbed so that it can help to accelerate the additional energies for the Lugia, but we see two Archeops. Surely you have to think that at least one Lugia will be prepared to attack this time around, and maybe with a defensive play with a V guard energy or something of that sort could be beneficial.
Now, Yerko does play two copies of this V-Guard energy, so we'll be utilizing one to force Corey to commit a lot of powerful energies to his Lugia if he wants to respond. One thing that Yerko is not playing, however, is 4 Aura energies and the Evil Doll, so he could be in for a rough time to respond to this upcoming Lugia if he ends up losing a bunch of energies right here, but very smartly powering up the non-powerful energy Lugia with that V-Guard and hopefully taking the KO on the station and getting ready to respond to the Lugia V-Star from Corey.
Yeah, missed that when I was looking through the deck list originally, but just 3 Aurora energy really limits your opportunities. It doesn't even leave you with enough energies to use the Evital and then have the energy for perhaps the Radiant Charizard. So really have to make your decision on which of these single prize Pokemon you want to get involved with.
Yeah, Yerko just adapting his deck list to make sure that he has enough energies for the Radiant Charizard, for Luminion, potentially even Crobat, but Charizard is really the only big hitter that he's going to be using that requires that Aurora. So it's another corner that he's sort of cutting. He's saying Yveltal is good, but people will be ready for it, and choosing not to, or not being able to take a prize card perhaps.
Yeah, we did see the energies that came from the Archeops, but yeah, as you're saying, this is definitely an opening right now. Both players really being able to use that summoning star, get both of the Archeops down, and it's who has the gust effect, I suppose. The energies, of course, are important, but getting out of the active spot equally as important here, and getting relevant knockouts as opposed to prize cards is certainly what is on the mind of these players.
Exactly, Yerko with no option of Yveltal, no option of Raikou, and really only the powerful energies and Radiant Charizard as options to take down a fully powered up, healthy Lugia. He really needs to manage his resources as well as possible, and with only 2 options right there, he definitely didn't want to have the initiative here and let Corey take the first 2 prize cards on a Lugia, and also didn't want to sacrifice one of those Archeopses that has taken so long to power up.
Well, trying to decipher everything that's going on with Corey's Lugia V-Star. We do see the Serena is going to pull up the Lugia V. Looks like no powerfuls committed, a V-Guard, a double turbo, and that choice belt. So plenty of damage to get the knockout by way of just the base damage there. And then the counter action of the double turbo against the choice belt going to be enough. And we see those 2 prize cards. Relevant prize card. I think that's pretty good.
Yeah, definitely. Corey taking the lead here thanks to that Serena that we've been praising so much. That's what you want to use it for. It really serves its purpose. And now it's on Yerko to respond to his Lugia and see what Corey has in store for him. He is going to be using that V-Guard energy, forcing Corey to find a choice belt if he wants to return a KO with Lugia, or he'll need to find Raikou or Yveltal in order to take a KO here.
Yeah, if we see any more Serena, we're going to have to do another giveaway. It's the full art, of course, from Corey, too. It's very nice to see here.
Actually, Corey does not play the Yveltal, so his only response is either Radiant Charizard with a choice belt or Amazing Red Raikou with the choice build. And with one choice build going down, only one more available, getting a return KO here for Corey could be very, very problematic. 4 powerful energy will not be enough.
Yeah, you can see also no retreater ready to go just yet. The board space is a little clunky. Lugia V sitting there just waiting for a purpose right now, and this is a spot that's just a little bit awkward by way of how the bench was laid out, and also just starting with the Zacian was a little unfortunate too. It just doesn't have an opportunity to take knockouts here.
Yeah, now Yerco is facing the exact same problem as Corey, though. He's still missing that choice build. He can thin his deck of all those powerful energies. He only needs 3 plus the choice build to get this KO, but he definitely needs to pull this off this turn. Otherwise, he's going to be very far behind, and Corey's choice built Lugia will be able to take a KO, and it seems like he's just giving up on them on that potential play.
Yeah, this is just going to be some chip damage into this other Lugia V-Star, and I guess that means that you're asking for your opponent to get all of their powerful energies into play and try to make a real big swing turn. And you can maybe have them overcommit their resources, but we're playing a dangerous game. Corey's already taken 2 prize cards, and potentially 2 more lined up in the active spot here.
Yeah, I mean, committing 4 powerful to a damaged Lugia seems like a pretty hefty price to pay to get this KO. We are seeing the double turbo, though, on the opposing Lugia, so actually he does need all 4 powerful to take the KO, because 1 powerful will nullify the damage reduction from the double turbo. So a lot happening here right now. And I mean, I think even though you will lose a Lugia with potentially 7 total energy attached, I think it took 4 prizes, right? And you still have your Aurora energies to close out this match. So I think it's like when your Lugia takes 4 prizes in and of itself and only gives 2 back, then that's always a worthy trade-off.
Yeah, you did good, kid. It's going to be a very important count here. We do see 1, 2, 3 powerful energies in the deck, it looks like. Not sure if we've seen one outside of this or potentially in the hand. Looks like these powerful energies are going to be committed to the Lugia V on the bench. So this has me thinking that maybe the V-Star is available.
Yeah, speaking of all these like big attacks and big commitments, and neither player is really committing to doing any of that just yet, both playing very conservatively with their resources. And this does mean that the game will extend a little bit with this exchange of 2-hit KOs, which, given how many options Lugia has, is actually very surprising.
Looks like we see even more energies into the discard pile now by way of this Ultra Ball. Must be important, as it is going to be for the Lugia V-Star, and there should be at least 1 more powerful energy available here. It's gonna get the damage up to 280 base, and that still will be a little bit short with that V-Guard energy, needing that final choice belt.
Yeah, there is a powerful energy in the discard pile from that Ultra Ball, so I'm not sure. Like, I feel like Corey could have really built up on the advantage that he has if he had just attached to the active that powerful and then committed the other 3. Oh, but he's just holding the choice build. That changes everything. I wish I could see his hand so I could be more accurate with this.
Yeah, that's certainly a situation we run into a lot. We see it. It happens. That was a high five, Professor's research, live round 15. Unbelievable.
That was like very intense. I was wondering, like, no, but this doesn't make much sense. Like, I feel like with 1 choice build left, the chances of him just having it already in his hand was very low, but it's here. Yeah, that very golden, shiny choice build is staring at us, and it will allow Corey to put himself in the best possible situation. He takes the knockout with a completely clean Lugia. Now Yerco has to respond with a KO and probably cannot afford to ever bench another Lugia here or leave a Luminion in play.
Yeah, any V Pokemon spells disaster right here, as Corey has gone down to 2 prize cards remaining, has two pretty impactful threats left on this board now, with a huge swing turn there, finding that last choice belt.
And as soon as I say that Yerco cannot afford to bench another 2-price Pokemon, that's exactly what he does. So getting all these predictions wrong for me, we are going to see the Serena onto the Crobat to take 2 price cards. But I feel like now with 2 Lugias powered up, what's the plan? You know, and there's the Serena, all right.
I definitely see what the strategy was there. It's very hard to overcome these 6 prize cards, and it means that the Lugia V-Star that would eventually come from that Lugia V would have to be able to tank a hit at some point, and you're just hoping to take V knockout with the Radiant Charizard, and then have this full Lugia V-Star ready to go that takes another knockout, it takes a hit, and then eventually you take that final knockout on the damaged Lugia. You're asking so much from your deck. Your opponent has to not have a gusting effect for 3 turns, but it basically is the only avenue to close out that first game.
Yeah, but I don't know, with no hand disruption, I feel like, I don't know, maybe a different path could have been to just try and get rid of those energies, right? But it seemed like Yerko's hand wasn't even good enough to draw a lot of cards to try and find that choice belt to get rid of the current active and fully powered up Lugia V-Star. So I'm glad to see him scoop up immediately after that Serena. I mean, the game was over at that point, but just saving a little bit of time. Felt like we could have seen him scoop a little bit earlier to save a few minutes after things just didn't go his way.
Well, high five, researches are 100% successful on stream. That is good to hear for players who like to have fun.
How many high fives have you pulled off on stream?
I've not on stream, but I've certainly had some moments. We also would celebrate the 10-card Colress back in the day, so we found some interesting ways to celebrate that. We'd make a squid out of our hands and just wiggle the fingers. You gotta step outside the box when you're drawing 10 cards.
All right, so you can imagine that Yerko will be choosing to go first in this situation. But yeah, with Corey being 1 game up in the series, it's not a completely blinged out deck, right? There's no alternate art Lugias in his deck, but it's pretty close.
Yeah, you'd almost have to get it, you'd have to pass it through customs. You'd sign the slip for sending over 10K in value if we saw those cards in there. So I'll let it slide this time, Corey.
Now, how do you feel about playing max rarity? Do you use any max rarity in your deck sometimes?
Absolutely not. It used to matter to me, and I'd like to at least play like reverse foil stuff, and I thought that was fun. And then I saw Jason Klaczynski win his 3rd world championship with a deck that costs $45, and then I was like, okay, yeah, this doesn't matter anymore.
Yeah, I used to also really like blinging out my deck overall, but just last season I had a situation where my opponent, who was playing a fully blinged out deck, confused a golden big charm, because there was only the outline out of it that was golden, with an energy.
Oh no.
So he actually tried to attack me with a 2 energy R-Cubes that had a big charm that was also positioned as an energy. And then when he tried to attack, and I pointed out that that was not possible because he didn't have enough energy, he immediately scooped up.
I had a similar situation against a Ho-Oh, and he had reverse foil energies, and I think he was colorblind, and he missed that the fire wasn't a fighting, and then he miscalculated what the basic energy types were on him, and missed the knockout by a little bit.
Oh no, that's very unfortunate. All right, we're going to see the prices here of this upcoming game. We do see the Collapse Stadium for Yerko, which could be a little problematic, and double path to the peak for Corey.
Yeah, well, I guess this is an opportunity where you're probably going to be going second, and playing the path isn't always the best. It is hard to make that stick and find some relevance, but of course we saw Yerko do that just in this first game, so I guess I'd rather have opportunities to make that choice.
Exactly, with both path to the peaks right there, then you don't even have the chance to try and delay the Summoning Star, which seems to be one of Corey's main strategies in the mirror match, in case he goes second, or to continue to build an advantage when he chooses to go first. Now, okay, I was looking at Corey, like, shuffling his cards, and I thought for a second that Corey's turn was active,
right?
but We're going to see Yerko lead with Oranguru's Primate Wisdom ability. That's never a good sign.
That is, yeah, that is not great. At least we see the Lugia V, but yeah, as you mentioned, that's usually something we see at the end of turns, or you just had a card that you really never want to see again, and sure enough, whatever that was is now placed on the top of the deck, and we are going to see a shuffle by way of this Evolution Instance.
Yeah, actually, now that I got to take a closer look at Yerko's hand, his hand is actually pretty decent. He had the Lugia, he's holding a Capture Energy, so he's going to be doing pretty well for himself in this first turn. I guess the question is he holding a supporter? That I did not get to catch, but hopefully he doesn't need to use Read the Wind at any point to set up. That's also never a good sign.
Yeah, do you expect this Capture Energy to go for the second Lugia? I know we've had that discussion time and time again of, is that the right call when you're going first in this matchup?
I mean, I don't know if it's going to happen or not. I generally don't think it's the best decision because, of course, your opponent could Marnie you and take away whatever you were planning, right? But I feel like you're only, if you need to use Pumpkaboo, or if you need to find Crobat to help further your setup, or if you need to find Luminion to find a supporter, then those eat up bench space, right? So then your chances of pulling off the two Archeops diminish, or quite simply, you have to limit how many support Pokemon you actually get to use. So I think going first, of course, it all depends, right? I don't like saying always do this or always do this in Pokemon, but I feel like if your hand is good enough, you probably don't need to. But continuing with the trend of this game, as soon as I say what not to, what I don't expect, that's exactly what happens.
Yeah, no, that's a pretty fair point as well. I think watching Natalie play, I saw the capture very often go for the Radiant Charizard, which seems counterintuitive as it's a Pokemon that you want to be using in like the mid to late stage. But you're setting up for an opportunity where you're not going to have to retreat to this Pokemon at some point. You can get this into play, maybe knock out a V, and you always can accelerate some extra energies. You don't have to wait until just 2 prize cards are remaining. And sure enough, going to go with the second Lugia now, and we've seen the prize cards flying left and right. The powerful energies are there for the reach, but you did mention that at least one of our players is not playing that Evital.
Yeah, I don't think either player
I don't think,
is
yeah, I don't
playing
see it on
Evital.
either side, actually.
Yeah, they both choosing to go very different ways. And in my opinion, Evital is like a really, it's one of my favorite cards in Lugia. I feel like we've been waiting so long for it to be viable, and it finally is. And of course, it offers advantages, which is immediately knocking out a Pokemon, but the disadvantage is that it is quite the energy hog, such as the Radiant Charizard that we saw Natalie continually go for. But I think the merit of Radiant Charizard is even if you end up using it on turn 2, then you fully commit a lot of energies to it, but it does do a lot of damage. If that Radiant Charizard is taking down a Lugia on your first turn, on your second turn, sorry, then that's always worth it, because if your opponent goes to take a knockout on your benched Lugia V-Star, then the Charizard is already powered up and ready to go, and you're one choice build away from responding. Otherwise, they have to deal with Charizard, but they only get 1 prize card.
Absolutely. It's the same initiative that the Evital brings for 5 energies that maybe Charizard can bring for a little bit less. And we've seen that happen so often here on stream, where you put up a threat that, yeah, it's worth 1 prize card, which is unfortunate, but you have to deal with this. And if you do start chasing the prize cards that are on the bench, you're just not going to get there.
Now we are seeing Corey be able to get a decent setup, does commit a powerful energy to the active Lugia, never something that you want to forcefully do on your first turn. He seems like he'll be forced to use Read the Wind here, no chance of retreating into a single prize Pokemon to stop Yerko from building an advantage, and that's exactly what we see.
Yeah, this is an issue of too many Lugia. We saw even another Quick Ball in the hand too, I believe. So plenty of ways to search out the Lugia, but already found the 2 that are necessary. Corey going with the Radiant Charizard strategy, understanding that 2 prize cards could very easily fall on the next turn. And look at this over on the side from Yerko. We are going to see that Archeops hitting the discard pile. And 1 more of those. That is a very clean turn 2.
Yeah, first Archeops hitting the discard pile here, but take a look at this, yeah? Yerko is going for the Luminion, and if there was a path to a peak right now in play and Yerko was forced to use Pumpkaboo in order to get rid of that, and the Luminion to be able to further his setup, then there wouldn't be enough space for the two Archeops. So that second Lugia, I feel like it doesn't do enough when you're going first to really justify, especially if you didn't start. Like if you start a Lugia and you bench the other one and you only have two Pokemon in play, fair. But it's asking for trouble, it feels.
I completely agree. It definitely seems like an unwarranted situation that you put yourself in, especially when this hand looks like it is going to be pretty strong. You had the Luminion, you had at least some search of these basic Pokemon. So even in a worst case scenario, it looked like the hand was going to continue to thrive, and we are going to see that Lugia V now getting that guard energy. And the professor's research for 7, no high five this time, just going to be looking for an evolution here.
Yeah, looking for that other way to get the Archeops into a discard pile. And yeah, I mean, we're only talking hypotheticals here with the path to a peak plays and whatnot. And it's not the case here, clearly, because Corey priced both of them. There's no path to a peak in play. But I always try and tell people that I talk to, always try and prepare for the worst, right? Aim for the best, but prepare for the worst. And Yerco is achieving the best here with that quick ball onto the Archeops, and will be able to get both of them into play right now.
Yeah, it doesn't get much better than that. Has the Lugia as well, V-Star ready to go. That means that we are going to see the Summoning Star very shortly. A full bench to come, and that means that Oranguru will have an easy path to retreating, and we are going to see this Lugia V-Star taking a knockout, and that's also going to be powerful energy down. 3 cards can be important, but I don't like losing powerful energies this early in the game.
Yeah, Yerko with the 2 prize initiative definitely makes it so much more worth it to attack with this Lugia. He also doesn't need to commit any of his powerful energy if he wants to in order to take down this Lugia. He can save them for their return KO if need be. And yeah, that puts Corey in a very, very tight spot where either he needs to respond with Radiant Charizard and a choice build to really try and take the prize initiative back into his favor, or he needs to commit to a full Lugia, but with Yerko's current setup, that's not going to look very pretty.
All right, Pablo, you tell me if this is a little too premature. I want to concede.
I generally think I would consider it. Like, if I'm not able to respond with the Charizard onto this Lugia, I think I do want to save the time here, give myself over 15 minutes going first to really try and further my setup, especially since I am the one playing Path to a Peak as well, and I can build upon that advantage and really solidify my going first advantage with the Path to a Peak, potentially denying my opponents Summoning Star because they also play Path to a Peak, so they have less counters to it. I really think this would be a pretty decent time to consider conceding.
Well, we'll go ahead and mark it that the casters conceded at 19:30, and if we do see this any later in the game, then Corey had that much time to work with that was not used. And if we do get into a situation where these players are facing the clock as well as their opponent, that is going to be devastating because both these players are at 32 match points, as we've mentioned before, and a win is necessary for top 8 contention.
Now that double powerful attachment from Yerko, I mean, Corey needs a lot to go well for him next turn. He needs access to all 3 powerful energies onto the Lugia. He needs the double Archeops. He needs the Summoning Star as well to be able to respond to this along with a choice build. But if he does, right, then you're out of your powerful energies, and that means you finding a response could actually be a little difficult. So this is what I mean when I say prepare for the worst. Yeah, the worst is Corey able to find a response, right? No matter how lackluster his setup might be at the current time. So if that happens and you lose those powerfuls, then it's gonna get rough. And I'm pretty sure Yerko still had access to Aurora energies, capture energies to be able to cover the attack cost of Lugia.
Well, prepare for the worst because Corey has a lot going on in this hand. I believe this is Ultra Ball double Archeops in the hand, along with Marnie too. So we'll see how this all gets played out. But there's a lot of great cards in this hand here.
Yeah, and he's also already holding that choice build that I keep talking about and how important it is. So that overcommitment of the 2 powerful energies from Yerko could be a differential. And then this is where when the round ends, and if Corey does manage to make this comeback here and take the win, we'll say, see, that's why you don't concede when you have 19 minutes, right? But
Right.
we didn't know how good his hand actually is to be able to perfectly respond to this.
That's true. Yeah, with the read the wind for us at least, it did not look great. But those were some good cards, I suppose. The initiative is so hard to come back from. I could certainly see an avenue where the V Pokemon just aren't available for Corey to close out, but he's got some options here. We can even see a card like that Raikou potentially being targeted, and that would be something else here if you were able to work that in combination with a Choice Belt.
Yeah, he might even choose to attack with the Raikou right here instead of the Lugia. Can he afford the retreat cost though? Because both Archeopses need to power up the Raikou. So he needs to either manually attach the double turbo to the active or manually attach one of the energies to Raikou here in order to be able to use it. It is a big commitment. The Raikou would be taking 3 prize cards, which once again, I'm not so sure if that will really factor into the price trade-off just yet. He'll be able to knock out the Lugia and the Oranguru, but this is so risky though. If he whiffs either the double turbo to retreat, that's not going to be a great situation. However, he is eyeing those powerful energies right here.
Yeah, those are very important as far as being able to get return knockouts on other Lugia V-Stars. If you want to have that reach to take the knockout, you're going to need a few of them, and we already see 2 that were committed early on, and if you can counteract that, you're going to be in a very strong spot. The V-Guard energy being eyed up here, so maybe the Raikou isn't even an option now.
Yeah, there's no access to those 3 powerful energies, so actually now there's no way for this Lugia to get a knockout here. I don't recall if the last powerful was priced or not, if he's gone through 2 of them already. I know he lost 1 off of that Read the Wind Lugia that got KO'd, but yeah, no chance to get this KO. He could have powered up the Charizard with the Choice Belt to get the KO with an Aurora Energy, but choosing to go for the more conservative route here. And yeah, I mean, Raikou also was an option, as we mentioned, but that required to hit one of the Auroras or the Speed or the double turbo off of the Marnie that he is holding. So a lot of options for Corey. Chooses the most conservative one. And now with the Raikou being in play, Yerco can be like, okay, you're not KOing me. I do have to worry about this Raikou, which we did not see in the previous game, I believe. But now it's in his mind, and now he knows Corey plays it.
Yeah, I suppose one very strong thing that's going for Corey right now is the fact that not only are we getting some hand disruption right now, but the fact that the V Pokemon are not on the board. There's, of course, this one Lugia V-Star that's pretty well protected right now with the V-Guard energy, but if you look on the other side for Yerko, there's a lot of decent prizes that are remaining, and you can see the avenue where single prize Pokemon could be taking these knockouts.
Yeah, so the commitment of the 2 powerful energies from Yerko to his Lugia end up paying off, since Corey was not able to achieve this final KO on the Lugia, so he'll be able to follow this up with another 2 prize cards, as we've mentioned before. When your Lugia takes 4 prize cards itself, that's always going to be really, really good. The key card missing for Yerko is the Choice Belt, but if the trend continues, he probably already has it, because every time I've mentioned this, they're already holding the Choice Belt to be able to get that KO.
Well, we will see if that is the case here. At least some decent damage coming down by way of the Tempest Dive.
All right, so we're waiting for Yerko here to make his move. I generally know it's scary to commit even more energies to an already damaged Lugia, but I do think it is worth it most of the time. We will start to see the Evolution Incense, and I just saw the Choice Belt in Yerko's hand, so I'm just going to assume players are always holding the Choice Belt for the perfect
I mean,
moment.
my opponents usually are, so
my
that's
opponents
why
usually are too.
That's why I'm at the desk with you, I suppose.
All right, so a little bit of deck thinning with the Evolution Incense, checking how many energies he still has available. Also checked if the other Choice Belt is available, but I generally think if Yerko takes and commits to this KO, yes, Corey will be able to take potentially 3 prizes off of this, but then all Yerko needs is to follow up with 2 more attacks onto the less powerful Archeops or the less powerful um, Charizard that can be taken down by Luminion. So I'm feeling pretty good if I'm Yerko here. If he chooses to commit that extra, he only needs 1 powerful energy. So that's not a big commitment at this stage.
Yeah, I mean, you're just looking to get the prize cards at this stage, and there is a Marnie in the hands, but okay, we're thinking choice belts, and we'll have to see what the plan is. A little hesitant here. Everything is on the line. This is for top 8 at the Latin American International Championships. And just doesn't know what to do.
Yeah, Yerko really not making up his mind. He wanted to play the Marnie, then not, play the Choice Belt, then not, then decides to further thin with the Archeops. Now he's finally eyeing up that powerful energy to be able to take this prize card. Seems like he is going to fully commit. Probably a little nervous here, just double checking the mats, making sure that he's doing all the moves he needs to do. And as long as he doesn't forget about that V-Guard energy, that very golden card that's right there, then he should be able to get this game on. There's the choice belt finally coming down.
There was a situation where that would have been very bad. If the Marnie was played first, we don't see the choice belt. You could draw into the powerful energies because you misordered the Archeops, and sure enough, we do see the ordering is going to happen correctly, even if it took an extra 30 seconds or so. And we do see the V-Guard energy coming down onto the Lugia V-Star on the bench. Little additional protection there. And it looks like Oranguru also thinking about that with the protection of the top deck here.
Yeah, putting the Marnie at the top of the deck with Oranguru is holding a research as well. So getting rid of those excess Archeops that he is playing. We'll find that Marnie as well, but I think it's pretty good to conserve those supporters rather than just completely get rid of them.
Well, this is kind of the situation you were talking about. If Lugia takes 4 prize cards, it's almost impossible to lose from spots like this. Of course, it could happen. I guess I'm jinxing myself once more, but it involves a lot of things going right for Corey, and it definitely means that there has to be at least one slip-up turn for Yerko.
Exactly, because if you're Corey right here, yes, this 3-prize turn will look very fancy, right? But you still need 3 more prizes to go, and Yerko only needs to attack twice. So unless Corey is able to promote a Lugia and potentially prevent Yerko from attacking one, or not attacking, but taking a prize card one of these next 2 turns, then it's Yerko's game to lose here.
Well, that may be why we conceded 10 minutes ago, but we'll see. At least the play is lined up here. That is going to be a big knockout here on the active Pokemon, and there was some damage on the other Lugia as well, so plenty of prize cards, I suppose.
No, he did play that Serena to bring up the benched Lugia.
Ah,
so
there it was. I'm like, what happened?
Yeah, he was able to set up that 2-prize KO. We didn't know that Corey had access to that Serena at the time, but this opens up the potential for Yerko to go for a ghosting play on the Luminion. Also allows Yerko to remove the Luminion from play, knocking out this Raikou if he has the resources available to him. And then Corey can at most get 1 prize card off of this. And that does mean that unless he's able to prevent Yerko from using that Charizard to take the last prize card, this is Yerko's game once again. So, like I said, this looked very fancy. It's a 4-prize turn, which is always good. And it's what probably Corey needs to do to get close to pulling off this game on his favor, but it might not be enough depending on the resources that Yerko still has available left for him.
Yep, going to see a little more thinning here. The quick ball coming down. Maybe there's an additional Pokemon that may be able to attack in a spot like this. I don't think that there's any more reach other than the Radiant Charizard or just the Archeops attacking. Grabbing the Lugia, if I see this benched, I might cry. And I don't think we're going to run into that situation here, as the play certainly has to be at this point either a knockout on your opponent's Luminion or using the Aqua Return on your Luminion to make sure that these prize cards are no longer available.
Yeah, I mean, Lugia can be utilized next turn to take a KO if there are powerful energies left, and You can do 150 damage, which would KO most Pokemon in play except the Charizard, but you really cannot afford to play it down now. If you play it down now, then just as Corey opened up that win condition by benching the Luminion, Yerco would also be opening up that win condition for Corey, and he is a game down. So at the very least, if you with so little time left, you want to tie and try and get close to that top 16 tiebreaker.
Yep, that's something that needs to be considered, I suppose. Now we are going to see the Luminion going for that Aqua return on the Raikou very shortly. Who do you expect to be promoted into the active spot? Is this a situation for Archeops, or do you really want to have all of these energies available?
I think because there's still powerful energy left, and because Archeops does take 3 energies to be able to attack, I think it's on the Oranguru, because Yerco still has a twin energy left to be able to potentially retreat that. It's the least useful Pokemon, of course, overall. It has served its purpose, and you're 1 turn away from winning this game. So I definitely would choose the Oranguru in this spot.
Makes sense to me. We see the Primate Wisdom going to place a likely important, well, yeah, a decent card on the top of the deck, and we're going to see that Marnie making that card available for this next hand that Yerko will see. Corey going to go down to just 4 cards in this hand, looking to find the remaining 2 prize cards. It is swimming away from him right now, and that is a really tough spot to be in when you're looking to take this victory.
Yeah, this is the best possible spot for Yerko. He knows he'll have access to that Aurora energy because it's going back into the deck. He knows he has access to that twin energy because it's also back in the deck, and there's no 2 prize Pokemon. The Raikou is down as well, and even if Raikou was available, there's no other target to be knocked out on the bench right now. So Corey would need to somehow recover the Raikou, power it up again, gust up an Archeops, and also knock out the Oranguru, which is very likely not going to happen. So the only plan that Corey can potentially do here is take down his opponent's Charizard and hope that there is no response.
Yeah, that is just about all that I can see here as well. Corey needs to find these cards, and this is with the help of a hand that was recently Marnied. So if Marnie does her party trick, there's going to be no way out.
Yeah, Marnie, I feel like I would never invite Marnie to any party of mine with that party trick. But anyways, we're going to see that incense off of that Marnie hand, and the best way to potentially stop your opponent from going boss and taking down your Charizard was through Marnie. So very well played by Yerko. We'll have to see if Corey can muster something here towards the end.
Yep, this is getting down to the very last stages here. 4 minutes remaining. We are going to see the energy is accelerated by way of the Archeops. See the double turbo energy, and maybe considering maybe future retreats if that were something that needs to happen. But honestly, the knockout should be lined up.
Yeah, Corey is playing so confidently that makes me think maybe he is holding a boss's order.
Oh, the path! Yeah, this is definitely a line that can be taken here. We see the energies are available now for the Radiant Charizard to attack, even if the path to the peak is down, and that would be horrible for Yerko. Yerko would need to have all of the energies available, and we're not sure if they're all there.
Okay, so all that Yerko needs is to not draw energies right now. He was holding a double turbo in his hand. There's also a twin energy available to him, so I am fairly certain that unless he drew the twin energy and a bunch of other energies into his hand, he will be able to get all 5 energy onto Radiant Charizard.
Is there a Crobat? Is there something? Because I'm not seeing the path to the peak yet.
Yeah, with no path to the peak, then yeah, the energies are completely irrelevant. We'll have to see what Corey is planning here. We might see that Crobat. Yeah, I think there's the Crobat.
Wow, this is absolutely huge for Corey. Going to draw 6 with the Dark Asset. I'd love to see the path, and there it is, right in the window.
There's the path. So Corey playing to all his outs, doesn't know exactly what energies Yerko has left, and Yerko not promoting immediately to get this win gives me A weird sensation. Maybe I misread the Twin Energy. I'm pretty sure it's there because he is playing that Regigigas in the deck. He does play 2 Double Turbo, 1 Twin Energy, not fully committing, right? Because there's only 1 powerful energy left, which Arceus cannot use to knock out. But as long as he does not top deck that Twin Energy, or maybe he thinks that he can't attack. I don't know. I feel like, I don't know. Maybe I've misread something, but I'm fairly certain that as long as Yerco can attach or has that Twin Energy there, he also has the double turbo. Yeah, he will have enough.
There's an energy in hand. There's the Aurora energy. We're going to count. We do see the double turbo. 1 additional energy there. Oh, yeah, there's plenty of energies to go. This should just be a combustion blast.
Yeah, there it is. There's all 4 energy. Just making sure that he's not forgetting anything at all. And there's the game with 1 minute and 30 seconds left.
Oh, I mean, congratulations, obviously, to Yerco for finding that win here in game number 2. But you start to wonder. Obviously, there was definitely a line for victory there for Corey. It was trying his hardest to make that win happen there, but it's a situation that you could just completely avoid. Just don't worry about what the match score looks like. Go in to this situation where, yeah, game 1 happened, and yes, I have a victory, but now I have a situation where I can set myself up with 20 minutes to go and go first in a mirror match that I'm set up to win. I have the paths, and I've got all the answers.
Exactly, and more importantly so, because in this round, this is the one where if you tie, you're definitely out. This is where, if you're going to concede a questionable game, this is the round to do it, because the point really doesn't help either player at all.
Yep, this is what happens sometimes here, and also a lot of players who are waiting and watching this round right now are very excited to see this. There are 12 potential players that could reach 34 points this round. A lot of names could get their way to 34 points, and they are all waiting to see if maybe this table slips up and does not have a 35 match point score.
Yeah, that is a crazy amount of people with 34 points. I do see a little bit of discussion happening here. I'm sure they're figuring out the logistics of time being called. I'm not sure if it has been called yet, but that was a decently lengthy setup, and we are seeing a double mulligan as well. So we'll have to see what ends up happening here. We're definitely going to time now, and I believe whoever starts the game will be turn 0.
Well, I would try to bench at least 2 Pokemon.
Absolutely, yeah. The only way the game would have ended would be with a dunk, but both players agree that it will almost obviously end in a tie. So we are seeing them sign the match slip, give their handshake to the judge, and unfortunately both players will be out of contention, or likely, never say never, right? But likely out
I'm
of
going to say never.
Okay, fair enough.
I'll say it for you.
This is my first time casting, so I don't want to say never, but fair.
Yeah, no, 33 points should be a fairly good standing if maybe you're looking for that top 16. Hopefully these players still have an opportunity there. Great sportsmanship by both players. Had an excellent time on the stream, and unfortunately just could not find a winner there to receive those 3 match points, and that's exactly what we needed to see if one of these players was going to reach top 8. It's not going to happen, and that means a lot of other names have an opportunity.
Indeed, and I mean, obviously, when 1 week from now, 2 weeks from now, you look back and you'll be like, wow, it's one of the top 16 players from Latin America International, over 1,000 players competing. That's a really big result, right? But I definitely know when you're in that moment, when you are so close and you're looking at that top 8, that tie probably hurts a little bit more than it should.
Yeah, signing that paper just it doesn't feel right when no one has won. You're looking for the circled name or something. There's just nothing there anymore, and it does mean that some other players are going to have an opportunity. So I am excited for when we eventually will be able to list out the players that reach our top 8 here. We'll see if we have any additional results from the rest of this round here. See if any of these other players locked in. It looks like Pedro and Tord had a tie, or at least an ID. Maybe John did the math too, as there was a draw there between Sander and John. and it looks like Lucas and Eder also with a tie. So those 6 players at least at 34 points right now, and that's a great start. Looks like Sierran and Grant also with victories were able to secure 35 points, so we should be seeing them.
Yeah, we have 5 players currently locked in for top 8 with 35 match points or higher, and we have quite a few names at 34 points. So this bubble will be quite a big one. I think one of the biggest we've had in a while, including regionals.
Yeah, this could be devastating, and it's great for us because we don't have to feel the heartbreak, I suppose. But we'll definitely be keeping everybody up to date with that top 8 as soon as we have that information. We can't wait to get into that action. It's going to be pretty impressive. Of course, remember that when we